How would you feel if we were working together and in just 6 days, you realized that you were making $750 an hour? Yeah, pretty remarkable, right? So many of the women that I work with are feeling like they don't charge enough. And one of my clients recently did an exercise with me. And when we did the math on how much she was making per hour, that $750 amount completely blew her mind. That's what we're talking about. So, welcome. As you're coming on, let me know, do you have an hourly rate? I would love to know. Or is everything that you basically do in like a package, a program, something along those lines? But if I asked you, what is your daily rate, your hourly rate, would you be able to answer that question? So, hey, my name is Salen, and my sweet spot is working with women who are around the $1 million mark. They have a service based business and they are the business, right? These are the women who wake up in the morning and their first instinct is to grab their phone and their gut goes, what burned down overnight that I need to work on? They're also the women who are everything to client delivery. Nothing happens with a client on any level. Um, unless their hand is touching it. And also, they're the ones that feel like I've hired help, but it's not helpful. I know I have some systems in place, but why aren't people using them? Well, if that's you, you are in the right place because that is exactly who I am focused on helping. So recently, I did an exercise, and I actually do this with all of my clients who come into the Simply Rich business experience. It was to figure out, tell me about your numbers. Now, for most women, you can tell me what your revenue is. You can tell me that you have $1 million business, an $850,000 business, a $1.2 million business, but you cannot tell me what your profit is. All you probably know is that your profit may not be as great as it used to be, right? This is a common problem when we get to $1 million. And that happens for a multitude of reasons that we won't go in today, but that I dive into with all of my clients because it's great to increase your revenue, but it's not so great if your profit, the amount you're sticking in your pocketbook, is not increasing along with it. A lot of times, what we see is the gap gets bigger and bigger and bigger as women grow their businesses past $1 million. So here's the thing, right? Why is the number you know in the profit per service is the number you don't, right? So this is the gap that I see. And this is because you're focused on those top level numbers. They're the easy things. You pull up your P&L or you pull up whatever software tracks your revenue and you're like, okay, I'm at this number for the year, or I'm going to be at this number by the end of the year, right? But when I ask you how much money you're actually making for the service you deliver, whether that's consulting, coaching, whether it's, a package for a client, whether it's the deliverer of a service like massages and weight loss and all different kinds of things, right? Maybe you have a digital marketing agency, any of those types of different things, you're like, I'm not really sure. I think it's. So when a woman says to me, I think it's, I immediately encourage, okay, let me be honest here, force my clients to go get clarity on what that number actually is. Because here's an example, right? I had a client who told me that her closing ratio from inquiry in order to new client was 90%. And I was like, that's great. At $1 million business, though, one percentage point could swing tens of thousands, if not $100,000. So we need to know, is it actually 90 or is it 88% or 92% or what it is? Because what I do with women is I want you to think about me as like a high performance race car mechanic. I work with already successful women in business and I help them make small tweaks to fine tune their business to enhance their success and performance, right? That's what you do in a high performance race car. We're not ripping out the entire motor and rebuilding the entire car. We're redesigning small, measurable things of what's working, what's not working, and getting clarity on that to see where we can make those small improvements to get better performance, right? So, whether that's in your automations, whether it's with people, whether it's in your packaging, your services, whether it's in your performance, whatever it is, that's what we're doing, right? So, when someone says to me, I think my percentage is this, my closing percentage, my conversion percentage, the amount I'm making, any of those kinds of things, I really tell them, go figure out the number and then come back. Because once they have the number, then what we can do is we can decide. We use the 3D evaluation framework, which is one of the frameworks in the Simply Rich business experience. We can use that framework in order to dig in and see what's working and where to spend our time and what is not working, and we need to let it go. So here's the thing, if you don't dig in, that's what the unmeasured actually costs you. And I call this the margin myth, right? So this is where you're like, okay, I have two similar services, and these services you think are making the same amount. But what we usually see is when we dig into the actual numbers, one of them is usually outperforming the other one. And then it's not a guess on where we spend our time and what we focus on. What we actually look at is, here's the black and white on what exactly is working and what's not, right? So we know exactly where to spend our time, where we should be looking to improve things, and what actually has been weighing down the business that is no longer worth your time or energy, maybe forever, or maybe just right now, right? But if you truly want to build a business that is scalable, so you can, step back into part-time hours, you can potentially start a second business without the first one falling apart, or you can prepare for a future sale where your business is actually an asset and not a liability because it doesn't run with you, then you need to know what's working, how much it's working, and where we're going to spend our time dialing things in. So here's what I want to leave you with today, right? I want you to look at one number in your business. And what we do when I work with clients is when they say, this isn't working, I say, great, where's the first break? So, right now, do you have enough leads coming in? Right. So, if you have enough leads, then it's like, great, let's leave that alone. How is your lead to consult, if that's what you do, conversion percentage? If that's really low, then that's where we focus. But sometimes we have to look at, are you getting the right leads versus whether you're actually closing them, whether you have the right person doing those consults or not, and all of those different kinds of things. So I want you to look at your business, dig into your numbers, and ask yourself, where is the break in my business right now? Whereas if I got the real numbers and really dug in, what would make the biggest shift for me in business? For a client I was working with last week, we determined very easily she doesn't have enough leads. She can close them into clients like this, but she didn't have enough leads coming in. And so her revenue had become stagnant. So that's where we needed to work first. For other women that I work with, it's the conversion. You did the sales calls, and then all of a sudden you handed them off to a team member, but you never trained that team member in a way for them to successfully close them at the same high percentage that you were, right? And so this is what I want you to think about. Where in your funnel is you have a number where you're like, oh my God, if I could fix this one thing, then that could change everything for me. If you want to dig into that further, then I would encourage you to book a scale strategy session. Comment scale. Let's get a time on my calendar. We can dig into that number and you can learn what's possible by implementing and becoming a part of the Simply Rich business experience. This is where we're actually digging into your business in the first 90 days, but we're not just adding more sparkly duct tape. We're actually looking at everything from a wide angle lens. And that wide angle lens is how we fix problems in your business and get you out of the daily operations, not just for today, but permanently. How would that feel to implement a systems culture into your business and delegate items to a team that you never had to touch again? Pretty freaking amazing, right? And so that's what we do inside of the Simply Rich business experience. We take you over a 3-phase process from being in your business to integrating a systems culture to stepping into the strategic leader role that your business needs from you at the $1 million level. This is not optional. What got you to 6 figures is not going to get you past 7 figures, right? You have to change your mindset and step into the woman, that strategic leader seat that your business needs from you. So, comment scale, we'll find a time to get on my calendar, have a conversation. So, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, I will see you next Wednesday back here because another juicy topic is coming for you next week. So I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. And let me know in the comments, what is the one number if you could fix? What would that be? I'll talk to you later.